Welcome to Insights for Manufacturing, the podcast that supports the UK manufacturing sector. Hosted by Jeff Beecham, the manufacturer's recruiter. Hello and welcome to Insights for Manufacturing. I'm delighted to welcome my guest today, Jane Galsworthy, who's the Managing Director of Oxford Innovation Advice. How are you today, Jane? Welcome to the show.
I'm very well, thanks. Good to be here.
Good. So for anybody that is not familiar with Oxford Innovation Advice, I'd just like to set the scene a little bit because as I learnt when I first met Jane, whilst Oxford is in the name of the organisation, you're actually a UK-wide support mechanism for SMEs. So it's a national service. So there was a piece on the Oxford Innovation Advice website, Jane, that I absolutely love, and I'll just take a second to read out this line that really caught my attention, and it is: economies thrive when local entrepreneurs and SMEs receive great advice. How wonderful is that? I mean, where did that come from?
Oh gosh, I don't know where the exact words come from, but I think it really embodies what we do and why we do it. So I guess as a company, we feel really passionately about small businesses and the role that they play in creating wealth, creating jobs, creating local communities, and we see our role as providing them with that little bit of external advice and support that can really help them be, the best that they can.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. So just to give out a few sort of headline facts and stats really for the listeners or viewers. So Oxford Innovation Advice, by the end of 2021, you'd supported over 32,000 SME businesses that had created over 28,000 new jobs, generated over £1 billion in GVA, supported the development of over 2,000 new products, raised over 223,000 in private investment, and distributed over 14 million in grant funding to SMEs. Wow, that's a great list of achievements, and obviously, the SME business community, it sounds like, has been either thrown a lifeline or thrown great opportunities to grow and thrive and prosper through Oxford Innovation Advice. So, so well done for all of that. It's fascinating.
Thank you.
Okay, so Jane, just to sort of get to know you just a little bit before we go into the, I suppose the interview part about the organisation. Why, for you, Jane? Why SMEs? How did you first, get into supporting SMEs, and what is it that's so rewarding for you?
That's such a good question, and I was sort of reflecting back on this. My first job was actually working for a really big international company, and whilst I learned a lot through that experience, I guess it's fair to say I didn't really enjoy the culture within that organization. It was sort of quite a negative, risk-averse culture. And I jumped from there and went to work for a small consultancy. I think it was about 6 or 7 people at the time. And the consultancy was providing support to funders, public sector organizations, around the sorts of interventions that they could do to support economic growth.
Yeah.
And as part of that job, one of the absolute best bits of it for me was I got to go around and talk to lots of small businesses and ask them what their problems were and where they thought that they would need help. And I think it was that particular job for me that really opened my eyes to small businesses and just how wonderful they were, in terms of the ambition, the innovation, the drive, and the bravery of those leaders of small businesses, and the really sort of fantastic cultures that they created in their business to take things forward. So I think that was really the thing for me that really opened my eyes to small businesses, and just what a fantastic part of our economy they are.
Absolutely, and I think the overall stat is that the economy is made up of about 95% of SMEs, isn't it? So I think that a lot of people that aren't involved in business or industry directly, I think are probably not aware of that. They possibly take for granted the fact that it's the small and medium-sized enterprises that are keeping the country moving and getting us all of our goods and products and services that we all need. So
absolutely, I mean, small businesses, I mean, you're absolutely right. They're actually about 99%, I think, of the total number of businesses in the country, but they employ about half of the workforce in the country. But I think more importantly, they're the businesses that generate the new products, the innovations, and also create jobs as well. So they are really the sort of engines of economic growth in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to go back on what you were saying about culture, I was interested in your own journey from that sort of more sort of corporate environment into a much smaller organization, and the differences when you're moving from a large company into a small one, or vice versa. It can be really like chalk and cheese, can't it? And some people, it's almost too much of a shift for them to get used to. And there's one thing that I always spend a lot of time talking to executive candidates about, and my clients as well, is the culture of the organization, and the technical skill sets and the leadership behaviors and competencies that you need are, of course, they are really, really key. They're so important. But getting the right fit for oneself, when you're looking to change career, it can be a game changer if you land with a business that's got a fantastic culture. But on the flip side of that, it can be a bit soul destroying if you go to a business and the culture just I suppose is at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of where your own values are. So what with your regular dealings with SMEs, and in particular sort of within the sort of manufacturing space, have you sort of picked up on any sort of trends, or I'm just trying to think, in your conversations with businesses, what is your viewpoint, or what observations have you made about the culture in today's world of SMEs? Because we've been through COVID, and we've had Brexit and all the rest of it. SMEs are always extremely frantically busy. They've got to be agile. They're innovators. But on the people side of things, where does the culture sort of fit in, do you think, when it comes to a business looking to grow, and maybe they need funding, or they need these growth strategies that you help with? What are you picking up from SMEs in terms of the people and culture aspect, and how does that fit in with these growth strategies?
I think, well, obviously, as you say, the culture of an organisation is really, really important, and I think that's doubly so with small businesses, because if you're a team of 10 people and you're taking on one or two more people, if they don't fit in, there's nowhere for them to hide, really. Whereas in a big business it's different. Yeah. And I think it's also quite often it's quite difficult for businesses to be able to describe their own culture, because it just is what it is to them. That's work. And so to be able to describe what it's like, and to understand the sort of values that they want from new employees is sometimes a little bit tricky, and that's sometimes where some sort of external help can support with that. I mean, small businesses tend to have, even if they're not family-run businesses, they tend to have far more of a sort of family feel
Yeah.
To them. I think businesses have. I think the sort of mission-driven element is becoming more and more apparent, in that small businesses are getting better at explaining, how they want to make the world a better place, and what
Yeah.
and what they're doing about that. And I think, particularly going through the sort of COVID period that we've been through, I think businesses have got a lot more sort of understandable and flexible, in terms of, people where companies have had to adapt, haven't they, to deal
Yeah.
with all the stuff that COVID threw at them. And I think a lot of those sort of practices and values are, have stayed, and are going to be around going forwards.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you very much for your insights on that. So looking at Oxford Innovation Advice, so you've got a range of services for SMEs. So let's just learn a little bit about what you do. So you've got access to finance. You do work and deliver stuff through Innovate UK. You've got the manufacturing growth program. You've got the strategic growth program and transform. What's the overall? I suppose if I was an SME looking for help, I wasn't quite sure what I needed or how I needed to grow. What programs would I be sort of signposted to? Can you give some sort of overview as to the range of programs and what and who they're generally for, or best aimed at?
Well, I guess we as a company, we work with the leaders of around probably 2,000 or 3,000 small businesses every year, and we work with businesses across a range of sectors, and in a range of different places in the country. We've got a team of advisors, and they typically are working one-to-one with these businesses. Broadly speaking, it's around helping them to innovate, to raise finance, to improve their business, and to grow. Because the support that we provide is funded by government, by the public sector, it tends to be ring-fenced to a particular geography and a particular sort of support.
Yeah.
And we have to gain that government funding, we have to bid in, typically against a specification that the funder has given. So the manufacturing growth program is one of the largest programs that we deliver. That is available to SMEs in Yorkshire, the Midlands, and parts of the Southeast.
Yeah.
Because that's where the public funding is available for that. The access to finance program that we deliver, it supports businesses in Cornwall, because again, that's where the funding is for that particular program.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll probably come on and talk about this a little bit later, but it does make it quite difficult for small businesses, that the type of support that's available varies quite a bit across the country.
So there's different pockets of money available depending on what region you're in, what specific area. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm sort of talking about this with you and having this discussion, and this isn't an area that I know an awful lot about in terms of how it works, how the funding works. So that's really put one of my own myths, I suppose, to one side, in that I just thought there was money available across the country, and you had to bid for it. It didn't matter where the business was, but if it's all split up geographically, then that does make it somewhat more challenging, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think to give you a specific example, in Leicestershire, the funders decided that they wanted to have a program supporting growth businesses. They felt that that program should have some one-to-one support and also some workshops and also some sort of peer learning. They put out an invitation to tender saying this is the sort of thing we want, this is the budget that's available for it. We put in a bid, our bid was successful, and then we are commissioned by those funders to deliver that sort of support in Leicestershire to businesses based in the county. And you know, even if we think it's a fantastic program, there isn't necessarily an option to go to Derbyshire or Nottinghamshire and sort of say, have you got some funding? You know, we could extend this program and run it in that part. Those
right.
Too.
Okay, so what are the main challenges or barriers that SMEs or entrepreneurs face when they're sort of contemplating reaching out for support? I mean, there's got to be this sort of thought process. I mean, there are a number of initiatives, either for funding or business advice all over the country, and I think, or one thing that's come across to me from talking to some SMEs is that they don't always know where to look. There are so many different types of support that might be available to them. It's a bit of a minefield out there, particularly if they haven't really gone through this before. So what are the main sort of challenges are they sort of facing when they're going through that process of I need to scale up or I need some help? What roadblocks are they coming up against, and how are you helping them with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've set them out quite well, actually, in that the main challenge is knowing what is available. And I guess specifically what's going to be really useful to your business at this particular moment in time. And finding somebody who sort of really understands what's available locally and can connect you with the right type of support. It's obviously really important. I think part of the problem with the current system and the way business support is funded is there is a little bit of a tendency to, I would describe it as product push. So, SMEs getting, if they get on email distribution lists, it'll be do you want one of these? Or we've got a grant for this, or, there's this scheme available. When really what they need and what we try and do is somebody to get to know the business, to understand their problems and where they need help, and then connect them in with the right bit of support at the right time.
So it's a bespoke pathway for them, really, rather than a kids in a sweet shop. This is all available. Ooh, what are we going to have? It's sort of flipping that on its head and looking at the SME or the entrepreneur first, which is, well, that's true consulting, isn't it? It's not just giving somebody a load of options, choose one. It's, well, tell me about your business, which is pretty much how I like to work as well. So that resonates strongly with me. So
the other point as well, and I think this goes without saying, that SMEs have a lot of things to focus on every day, which are all about running their business. So to expect them to be setting aside time to research the various schemes, what's available, are they eligible for it, what's the application process, all that sort of stuff is just completely unrealistic.
Business owners, there's only 24 hours in the day. We do need to sleep, but I know a lot of business owners that are absolutely stacked out, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, just making ends meet, running the business, keeping the customers happy. So when it comes to anything like this, it's almost like a side project, and it might be really key for the business. It might be about business survival over the medium to long term. It might be about growth, whatever it might be. They're all, key decisions to be made. But yeah, I think the process needs to be as easy or as user friendly as it can be for the business. So it sounds like you've got the right approach there, and that's what the SMEs need, really. So there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about Brexit, COVID. Energy costs now are providing probably one of the biggest challenges, particularly to SMEs and some of the large, energy intensive larger businesses. In UK manufacturing, what work is Oxford Innovation Advice currently involved in to support UK manufacturing SMEs? I mean, you don't necessarily need to, talk specifically about a particular business, but I mean, what type of work is what are you being asked for most at the moment? So what type of projects are you seeing, and what are you involved in?
Yeah. So so the Manufacturing Growth Programme, which is one of the programs we deliver, and I think it's supported about 4,200 small manufacturers since it's been going.
Yeah.
There's, as you can imagine, with that many companies, there's quite a wide range of areas where they're looking for support. There's always demand for support around improving sort of productivity, efficiency gains.
Yeah.
Digital marketing is a really big area. So obviously, companies looking to increase sales and increase their presence in the marketplace. And then, as you say, energy costs really high, and so we're seeing sort of increasing interest in putting in systems, sort of micrometering type systems, to be able to measure energy usage across processes, and then understand, the places where it would really make a difference to invest perhaps in new equipment to reduce energy usage. But it's a whole range of areas, and that's one of the beauties of the Manufacturing Growth Programme, is that it can help manufacturing business with whatever they think is their biggest problem.
Yeah.
At that particular time.
Okay. So if I was to ask you to give a compelling example of how manufacturing SMEs can benefit from getting in touch with Oxford Innovation Advice for help to grow their business, do you have a particular project or case study that you could highlight that would be if I was an SME, looking for some help, and I heard about an instance where you'd delivered whatever program it is to another SME, that would really convince me, crikey, these are the people that I need to talk to, because there's a similar set of problems, or there's a similar, outcome that I'm looking for. Is there anything that sticks in mind that would be a really good, the flagship or example?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really difficult. The website has got a load of case studies on it, and you can search those case studies by region. So, I want to look at another big business in the West Midlands. You can search them by sector. I want a case study of a textiles business or food and drink business, or you can search them by the type of supports around productivity improvement, etc. I think that, I mean, the client feedback that we get is really, really good. I think it's something like around 99% of businesses have said the support they've received has been good or very good. So amazing. I think one of the key things that we focus on is, it is public funding. There are requirements around form filling and data capture, but we've worked really hard so that our processes that the SME has to go through are really slick. So we're taking all the pain, or as much of the pain as possible, of that sort of public funding. and so it is as easy for the small business to access as possible.
Yeah.
But you asked for a particular case study, didn't you? And so it's really difficult to think of one in particular, but maybe if I talk about, so there's a company based in Yorkshire called Restrap. They were set up in 2010.
Yeah.
Set up by a guy who essentially had this idea that he could make cycle sort of pedal straps out of recycled seatbelts. He was a mad keen cyclist, and he was also sort of really into that sort of sustainability recycling thing.
Yeah.
So we've worked with the company over a number of years. Their turnover is about 4.5 million, and they employ about 70 people. They still do all their manufacturing in Yorkshire, and that's, you know, very much part of the ethos of the company.
Yeah.
So we've helped them with you know, setting up those production manufacturing processes, improving the efficiency of them. We've also helped them get a grant to invest in some machinery as part of that, establishing that manufacturing footprint. And we've also helped them access some essentially sort of leadership and management training as well, because as the company's grown, it's had to develop its management structure, and there's had to bring in a whole tier of people whose job is around managing KPIs, people, maintaining the culture within the company as well. So a lot of support with that. So I guess that's just one company, and it gives you, you know, a little bit of a flavour of the types of things that the program can help with.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I mean, it's great to hear about a British manufacturer, you know, that's strong on the sustainability agenda as well. You know, jobs creation. That sounds like a great success story. So if anybody's out there, have a look at Restrap. I just want to give out the Oxford Innovation Advice website details, if I may. So it's www.oxfordinnovationadvice, all one word, .co.uk. So you can have a good look at the services and the programs, and also these wonderful case studies that Jane was just talking about. So there's something else that you do as well, Jane, which is a sort of, I don't know whether it's a separate side of the organisation or it's just a different function, but I know you've got a network of innovation centres, haven't you? I understand currently you've got around 28 innovation centres around the UK. So what are they? What do they do, and who are they for?
Yeah, so that's our sister company, and those innovation centres are well, they are buildings, but they're essentially creating communities of entrepreneurs and innovators. They're based in, as you say, 28 different locations around the country.
Yeah.
Some of them are based on university campuses, sort of business park type locations. They are typically home to between, I don't know, 30 or 40 small businesses. And whilst the businesses are in the centre, you know, they can get advice from our innovation directors based in the centre, and also there will be a set of sort of events to create the community, bring in external experts on topics like IP or access to finance. And because one of the things that we found is that entrepreneurs in the centres, part of the reason they really like being in the centres is because they can learn from their peers.
Yeah.
Because they're all small companies, and they're quite often facing common challenges. So, you know, the whole thing of a problem is it a problem shared is a problem halved.
Yes, yes.
And then, of course, we're able to sort of plug them into that local business support ecosystem as well, and make sure that they can benefit from external help. We do actually also have a third part of the business, which is called Oxford Innovation Finance.
Yep.
And this is we run an angel investment network, so we have over 600 angel investors. And we showcase round about 100 early stage businesses that are looking to raise finance to them. And then alongside that, we've got a small fund that we manage. So that fund invests in some of those startup companies. So, that's very much back to the ethos of Oxford Innovation when it was established, that if you're going to grow a small business, you're going to need really good physical space to base yourselves in with good connectivity. You're going to need advice, and you're likely to need external finance as well on that sort of scaling journey.
Amazing. I'd love the fact that you've got a network of angel investors. I mean, this is something, it's a term that I suppose many people in business would be familiar with, but not all, particularly entrepreneurs that have had a wonderful idea about a product or a service or a business, and they're really, really early on into their business career. Not everybody would know what an angel investor is, and well, as an individual, I wouldn't know where to go to seek out an angel investor. So, it's great that Oxford Innovation Finance has got this network, and you can sort of, I suppose there's got to be pre-qualifying criteria that you go through with the SMEs or the entrepreneurs that you work with, of course, but that must be really rewarding, for you and your team as individuals, but also as an organization, to create that bridge between the innovator that's generally got all of the passion, the technical enthusiasm and the willingness and energy and willpower and everything else, but maybe not the resources, funding and cash to take their idea or fledgling business to the next level. What a great resource to have, So again, if there's anybody listening that's in that sort of embryonic stage, and you're looking for some funding, or maybe finance or an angel investor, then I think it would be worth checking out and getting in contact with Oxford Innovation Advice or Oxford Innovation Finance. What a fantastic discussion we're having today, Jane. I'm learning so much myself. I'm sure there's going to be a number of really enthused listeners from today's episode. It's been absolutely fascinating. Just to sort of round off, really, what are there any sort of main plans or objectives that you have as an organization for 2023? I mean, I understand there's some of the funding that you have sort of been tapping into, either previously or still at the moment, is part of the European funding pot, whatever that might be called. And please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But how might that impact things now that we've come out of the EU with Brexit? What sort of impact's that going to have, and on a positive, what things are in the pipeline for next year and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. And back to we were talking about how confusing things are for small businesses, and unfortunately it's likely to get more confusing going forwards. So my advice is, if you've got a trusted advisor, somebody, then stay close to them, because they'll be able to keep tabs on the changes and plug you into stuff in the new funding. But essentially, a lot of business support was funded by money that came from the European funding pot. all of those programs have to be completed by the end of June next year. And the government has created a new funding pot called the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, which it has given to combined authorities, unitary authorities, and district councils to invest in business support. And those places are thinking about what sorts of programs they want to commission, and hopefully will be going out and inviting bids against them. So certainly for a good part of this year, and we're continuing to do this, is that we have been having conversations with those places and encouraging them to invest some of their funding in supporting small businesses. So we've been trying to explain what a difference small businesses make to local economies, and that by providing support to those businesses, they're only going to make local economies stronger and wealthier. So we're keeping on flying the flag for business support and help for those small businesses. And I think what that means in terms of next year, we're hoping that we're going to be really busy writing lots of bids, particularly in the first few months of the year, and then pretty busy mobilising new contracts as those bids are approved and go forwards.
Brilliant. So a really, really positive outlook then, really. And as you say, SMEs in general are so important to our economy. They're so important to communities, to families, great for creating jobs. But in particular, manufacturing, which is where, myself and my business sit. I've got a huge passion for manufacturing, and SMEs make up a huge part of that. So let's all keep, doing our bit to keep talking and shouting about UK manufacturing, and in particular SMEs, because without them, the OEMs and the tier ones and some of the tier twos, wouldn't be able to function. It really is all about supporting SMEs and in particular SME manufacturing. So Jane, it's been a real pleasure to have this conversation with you today. Thank you so much for coming on. That pretty much wraps up today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed our discussion. I hope the listeners and the YouTube audience will have found this as fascinating as I have. Thanks again to Jane Galsworthy from Oxford Innovation Advice. Thank you for listening, and look out for the next episode of Insights for Manufacturing. See you next time, and bye-bye.